Forrest. Zaguirre. Stokes. Zaguirre. It's opening up. Oh, it's spilled by Douglas. And Joe Ledley is on hand. Celtic starting as they mean to go on, but it's a horrible mistake from the former Celtic keeper.
Yeah, I think he's having words here with Gallagher. The two of them are coming together just now, just exchanging a view or two on this. They both get in each other's way. Gallagher goes to it, but when Douglas comes to take it, he's got to take it cleanly. Zaguirre's the focal point of the attack, and Douglas has to take that cleanly. He's on the stretch, but we know that he's good enough to take it without the spill here that's just right into the path of Joe Ledley, and a gift for the captain of the game.
James Forrest unselfishly looking for Hooper. Was he held back? Yes. And surely there's going to be a red card coming out here. It is. And Matt Lockwood, who's only been on for 3 minutes, is sent off.
Well, it's such a harsh rule, isn't it? The laws of the game state that if you deny a clear and obvious goal-scoring opportunity, as Gary Hooper had here, Forrest does well to be very unselfish. Lockwood does commit the foul, but by giving away the penalty, he certainly gives away a goal-scoring opportunity. But Kevin Clancy has just applied the laws of the game. It's tough on Dundee.
Celtic have had problems with penalties in recent times. James Forrest is going to take this one. It's Forrest, and it's comfortably 2-0 to Celtic, and surely no way back now for Dundee.
Excellent penalty from Forrest, because this is right into the corner. Very accurate. Knocks that water bottle that's just in the inside of the post. Maybe that was his target. Beautiful penalty. Douglas had no chance.
Zaguirre for Joe Ledley. Stokes. Dylan McGeoch coming in. Really clever goal. Dylan McGeoch gets in on the act, and Celtic are strolling now.
Well, that's a classic example of how to be so effective as a wide player. If you look at his movement here as this ball comes to Stokes, he's determined to make that run across and into the box to get on the end of that delightful ball from Stokes. He sees the movement, and there's the header right into the corner. Excellent from McGeoch. His header just drops away in at that back post, and it's a terrific goal. That will give him a boost.
Rogic into the path of McGeoch. Miku ahead of him. Hooper making up ground. Take up a familiar position. Rogic, Stokes. Ledley scores again. Come in, goal number 4. And 2 for the captain today.
Well, he started all in the other half with Rogic, sending McGeoch away. That's another good pass right into the path of Stokes, and it's the timing of this just to get it into the path of Joe Ledley. One touch finish. A lot of Dundee bodies in that box, but no one close enough to Joe Ledley to stop that shot at goal. They should be reacting a bit quicker to that cutback for Ledley.
Rogic. Ledley. Stokes. Ledley. It's Hooper. A first goal in 6 games for Gary Hooper. What kept you, Gary? Trust him to have a say after all.
Well, the quality of the finish is matched by the quality of the pass into his chest here. Look how he lifts this. He's clearly onside, but there's a chest control and a vicious volley. Keeping it low, making sure he hits the target. Douglas has got no chance there. It's a wonderful through ball from the man who scored 2 goals already, Joe Ledley. setting up his striking partner there with a beautiful weighted pass. And that's ruthless finishing from Hooper.
He has scored in every game against Dundee this season, all three of them. His 24th goal this season, overall.
Hail, hail, and welcome to the HomeBhoys live phone-in show. We are back. I am back. It is, there's been a fairly crazy week. We're going to look back on that this week. We'll just get straight into this. We're joined by the usual Paul Largan, the Green and White writer.
Hello.
We are joined by the one and only Reverend David Harper.
Hello.
And we are joined this week by a guest panelist who we're going to have for a little while. This is a new thing we're doing on HomeBhoys. Instead of having the same 4 to 5 mugs, talk a load of pish every week, we're going to add in
We're going to have an extra one.
We're going to have an extra mug come in every week and throw their pennies worth in. So this week we've been joined by New England champion, fresh from his victory over Derek Silveira at the Boston Garden. People call it the TD Garden. That sounds like a disease. The one and only king in the ring, hero in hoops, the Boston Bruiser, Danny Furious Fenian Fist, Danny Boy O'Connor. How you doing, Danny? You all right?
I'm doing good, guys. What's going on?
All the way from Boston. We've got a special little sound effect for you, Danny, right? So if anybody calls in and says something stupid, this is what they're going to get. Get up, you son of a bitch!
I love it.
And if anybody threatens me, I'm going to do this.
I'm a karate man. That's funny.
I found that little sound effects thing on the Spreaker app. It's great. So, on the back of last week's amazing Green Brigade podcast that the lads did in my absence as I went off to swing my pants at Justin Bieber in the O2 in Dublin. There's been an awful lot of interest in Hail Hail Media overall and HomeBhoys. So we thought it best to maybe try and go back to base tactics and explain to everybody what it is. Hail Hail Media and HomeBhoys is fan-made media content, I suppose, for the fans, by the fans. It's open to everybody, especially this show. You can call in live tonight. If you're on Skype, just search HomeBhoys on Skype. Call in. Don't mind who's talking, what's going on. If you got a point you want to make, call in. You can follow us on Twitter, at HomeBhoys on Twitter. You can also follow at Hail Hail Media and all the other shows that are in there, like TikTok, Rebel Podcast, Beyond the Waves, the Boys Down Under, the Mets Boys. Who am I missing, Harper?
Paradise Previews, Paradise Report.
All those great.
Lost Boys.
Great and wonderful podcasts. And of course, it's hailhailmedia.com where you can go and read blogs, daily content up there every day. All sorts of things. You can follow us on Facebook at Hail Hail Media. Am I forgetting anything, Harper? The email. What is our email?
HomeBhoys@gmail.com.
HomeBhoys@gmail. I should know that, shouldn't I? And if you feel like sending us an email, if you want to give us abuse, ask questions, whatever, homeboys@gmail.com. And that's enough of that sort of business end of stuff. Let's get down to business. A fantastic win for Celtic yesterday. 5-0 win over Dundee. From what I hear, was a very cold Celtic Park. But before we get into that, we're going to talk to our guest panelist, because not only is he a guest panelist, he's also a bit of a... he's become a bit of a Celtic icon recently. Not recently, in the past, past year, I suppose. Since he met us, his career just skyrocketed. He's been everywhere. I seen a picture of him hanging out with New Kids on the Block recently.
Donnie Wahlberg, there you go.
That's right. So
that was at some premiere.
Yeah, it's a new TV show that's coming out. It's about Boston police officers, the gang unit. It's like a reality show, kind of like Cops, but with like better camera angles and stuff. And I got to go to the premiere. It looks pretty good, man. I'm excited about that show.
There's actually a guy at my work who was telling me about it, because there's a guy at my work, Danny, believe it or not, who knows you. And he's quite friendly with you. He's quite pally with you on Facebook. His name's Brian, and I can't for the life of me remember his surname. But he's mad into the boxing. He's been following your career for the last couple of years. So.
Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about.
Well, he walks beside me. Just unbelievable. He's small world.
Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about. He actually wrote me a Facebook message saying that he worked with you.
That's right, Yeah. Sorry, Joe.
Well, that's let's go on talking to Danny. Danny, now, everybody knows you kind of from wearing a Celtic jersey in the ring, from being on this podcast. But now you're now champion of New England after defeating Derek Silvera, and we spoke to you kind of maybe a month and a half before the fight, because the original fight date got moved, and then eventually the fight came up there in January. Was it January?
Yeah, January 26th.
January 26th, that's right. Because I remember I had no internet for 2 weeks and I missed it. I had to watch it on a rerun. It sucked. So just take us back there. Have things changed for you recently since you've become a bit of a sort of celebrity now in Boston, from bringing boxing back to the Garden and whipping that boy's ass?
No, nothing really changed, man. My feet are firmly planted on the ground, and I just go about my day per usual. I mean, maybe if I go out to the market or something, or the mall, I get a lot more people who recognize me now, and it's cool because I get to sign a few autographs here and there and shake a few hands, and it's always a good thing to have people recognize you for doing something good, as opposed to the other side of the fence. You know what I mean? So it's a cool feeling. It
must be great for you as well to be back home in Boston. We haven't spent so much time training down in Texas with Coach Ronnie. But I just want to go back to the fight in January. I mean, we've all seen the photographs of you coming out of even in the changing room. Jesus, you looked mean. You looked like a mean highwayman. So you did. In a Celtic jersey with your bandana across your face, and then coming out to the crowd. How are you feeling that night? Did you just know it was going to go the way that it went?
No. I felt great being in the. I thought maybe there'd be some nerves or something, because it was the Boston Garden, and for me being from Boston, that would be like someone from there fighting at Celtic Park. It's like the place that you're growing up, that you're dreaming of. Doing what you're doing. So I thought there'd be a little bit of nerves, but to be honest, I actually was more relaxed than I have ever been for a fight. I kind of was just, another day in the office. I looked at it like business, and, it was great. In my opinion, I thought I was going to knock him out, and, I think I was so caught up in everything. I was trying too hard to knock him out, and, definitely in boxing, when you're looking for the knockout, most of the time it's not going to come unless you really are, a killer. But at the end of the day, if you're trying to force stuff and instead of letting it come to you, it's not going to come to you. So I think I was looking too much for the knockout, and I ended up getting a decision. But, I think I made my point. It was a good fight, and, it was nice to beat an undefeated kid, definitely.
Danny, tell me, how did it feel, though? You must have took just a second before you went into the arena, like the main arena, just to take it all in. Like, and I mean, how did it feel knowing? I mean, it must be similar to what it would feel like for me to run down the tunnel at Celtic. Like, do you know what I mean? It must have been a bit where you were just standing there and went, "My God, this is Boston Garden." Like,
you know what? Honestly, I didn't take a second to take anything in until
you were just in the zone.
Yeah, I remember after the fight, the few days after, people coming up to me be like, "Oh, thanks for shaking my hand on the way out to the ring," and this and that, or "I saw you," and I'll be like, "Dude, I honestly don't remember one thing walking in the ring." I was so focused on what I needed to do, taking care of my business, and making sure that, the whole night was a night that I was going to remember in a good way, because I didn't want any mistakes. I've already been on that platform, national TV, and, I've seen it go totally opposite to what I was thinking in my head. So there was no chance I was letting that happen, especially in the Garden. So I was so focused coming into the ring, knowing that Celtic was, streaming my fight and everyone was going to be able to watch it. I was so focused on taking care of business that I honestly didn't really get to sit back and be like, wow, I just fought in the Boston Garden, until, probably shortly after, when I was in the locker room.
See, that's a difference. That's a difference between a sportsman like you and guys like us, Danny. Because we'd have been standing there going, "Isn't this class? Isn't this great?" I mean, yo, check me out, everybody. Let me go and get our ass.
Waving at the camera.
Yeah, blowing kisses and shit. I mean, like going out there. I mean, are you just thinking tactics, movements, making sure you're feeling good, making sure your body's good? I mean, when you say focus, I mean, are you just thinking game plan?
Game plan, absolutely game plan. I think one of the biggest things to do is, it's really easy to get caught up in emotion during a fight. And I think one of the worst things to do is fight off emotion. If you get mad or if, you're trying to get even or, you get hit and you want to hit him back, I think the best thing to do is you have a game plan and you go over it for months in training and, you study your opponent. You have a game plan and you need to stick to it regardless of what happens. And, the best fighters are able to change that game plan during the fight if something's not working. So, that's pretty much what I was just trying to do, just stick to the game plan. And, I, honestly, in my opinion, I kind of went away from the game plan. And that's because, dude, I wasn't a fan of the referee. He kept warning me for low blows to the point where, I stopped throwing body shots because every time I threw a body shot, he was warning me, and I didn't want to, lose any points. And so, I got a little bit away from the game plan. But, at the end of the day, a win's a win, and it was in front of everybody, so I couldn't be happier.
Definitely. Paul?
Yeah, I'm just going to ask Danny. I mean, obviously you had the disappointment of the fight being cancelled on the 14th of December. How hard was it to remain focused right through to January 26th, Danny?
It wasn't hard to stay focused. I'm always focused, no matter what the situation is. And I think it was more a little bit of getting a little burnt out, a little sick of training. When the fight got postponed, I was still able to do everything in training. So it's kind of like it was just a training camp got extended, a month or so. So, towards the end, leading up to about the week before, I kind of was just, ready for the fight to be here already. I kind of just was like ready to fight. I had been ready to fight for so long. So, I think it was kind of a fine line of not getting burnt out, learning how to taper training a little bit. And, every training camp for me is a learning experience. Sometimes they go so well, you think it's the best thing ever. And sometimes you have, stuff that goes wrong and every training camp's not going to be the same and you got to learn from each one and put it to use for the next one.
Mm-hmm. Oh, sorry, I'm just reading here something here. I'm just off my game. Sorry, I was just usually professionals like you, Harper, would fill that dead space with something, right? Rather than just sit there. We have a question for you, Danny. People have been saying this. Oh, say people. Oh, Jason joined us in. Hold on a second. Jason.
Aye.
Just in time.
You're Justin at your heat, mate. You're Bieber at your nut.
I need to put this speaker enough.
We have a question for you, Danny. A guy sent us a question on Twitter. A guy called Gavin McAllister, right? And he wants us to ask you, if there was one legendary fighter from the past you could go back and have a crack at, who would it be?
Marvin Hagler, probably. He's an absolute monster. He's a beast, and he was a beast during the time when boxing was, the real boxing, when they were gladiators. Yeah. And, they fought because they fought. And, I think him, because he's from my area, if I'm ever in the shadow of anyone when it comes to boxing, it would be him because he's from the same area as me. And, he was just a monster. So if I could go back and have a crack at him, it would definitely be him. I've always wanted to fight Ricky Hatton. He was one of the people that I grew up watching. I think you follow people, especially athletes, because you can relate to them more than others. And, I think I relate to Ricky Hatton a lot. So I would have liked to fight Ricky Hatton in his heyday, too.
Hope you're not eating like Ricky Hatton between fights.
I try not to, but hey, I'm human. I like some ice cream every here and there.
But John,
I think he's doing a bit more than ice cream.
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned Marvin Hagler, though, Danny, because, I think I was actually in Jimmy's Corners bar in Manhattan a couple of years ago talking to Jimmy Glenn, who's also a big corner man, and he reckoned that Marvin Hagler against Sugar Ray Leonard was the best fight he'd ever seen.
Yeah, absolutely.
I watched it. I've watched the real one a million times, and it's incredible because, as you say, Hagler was a machine. He had destroyed Alan Minter over here about a year before it. Then he went up against Leonard, and everybody to this day has always disputed that decision as well. Yeah. Just an awesome fight, and boxing was really, was incredible.
Absolutely. Peak. That's when they were gladiators, man. And Hagler was so good at what he did, and he was so tough, and he could fight just as good lefty as he did righty.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Simi in the chat room has mentioned that one of the judges was scoring. The scoring was absolutely shocking, and I seen you actually speaking, going straight to the guy as soon as they mentioned that you'd won, and saying like, "What's up here?"
So, when he was the first judge to read the score, and when he read the score, 95-95, instantly I was like, that's absurd, because in my mind, there's no way that fight was a tie. I know obviously in my mind it's going to be different than people watching it, so I went back and watched the film, and there's still no way that fight was a tie. So as soon as the decision, I walked right up to that judge and I said, hey, listen, how in the world do you think that fight was a tie? Like, what's going on? And he told me that he calls it as he sees it. And, I just think that's absurd. I think that judges like that need to be held accountable, because it's judges like that are ruining the sport. I mean, you need to be fair. If I lost that fight, I would say, hey, I lost that fight. The better man won that night. But, judges like that have to be held accountable, because, it's just absurd. There's no chance in my mind that fight was a tie.
It's kind of weird, though. Like, I mean, one guy's decision, or the way he sees a fight, some old dude, is kind of, his word is bond, and that's it. You win or you lose by his word. That's
dude. I don't. Maybe he was a Rangers fan. Who knows?
Someone
I never thought of that.
Someone mentioned in the chat room as well, the ref was wearing a blue shirt, so the good chance was he was a Rangers fan. We've been joined by our other comrade Jason Higgins, who's sitting in the background there. Hey, Jason.
How you doing, guys? All right?
Not too bad. We're just having a chat with Danny here.
Yeah. Congratulations, Danny, on your last victory, mate. Deadly, brilliant, good stuff.
Thanks, Jason, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
See, when you talk about the score, sorry, Danny Harper, I've just got to ask Danny. See, when you're talking about the scoring, Danny, when you're actually fighting, are you scoring it in your head as you're going?
No, I'm not like sitting in the corner every round and being like, I won that round 10-9 or 10-8. But I mean, as a fighter, when you're winning and when you're losing. You know what I mean? Like, unless it's just a straight battle where technique is out the window and it's Mickey Ward or Turo Gotti type of thing when you're just killing each other. But at the end of the day, I know when I'm winning, I know when I'm losing. So I knew that I had that fight in control. The whole fight was in control. Some rounds were maybe I won more and some by less, but at the end of the day, I was never in trouble. I dictated the fight. I was the aggressor. I scored the better punches. And a few times I almost had him out of there, man. He was hurt, and I just couldn't close the show.
There was one point late in the fight, might have been like around the 8th round. I think you punched him across the ring.
Yeah.
I think he just went entirely across the ring, and I was like, Jesus.
Joe, I've got a question here on Twitter from Brendan Tehan, who goes by @TinyAlleyCatG5 on Twitter. And he asked a question that's something that I was going to kind of get onto as well. He's saying, can you ask Danny if he envisages fighting in Scotland anytime, preferably at Celtic Park? Now, Danny, before you answer that, myself and Brian, I mentioned to you, were talking at work a couple of weeks ago, and we were kind of talking about that because you'd said before you'd love to fight at Celtic Park. And, I mean, obviously, Ricky Burns is the big fighter in Scotland at the minute, and he's a Celtic man. Has there ever been any sort of talk, or has your camp ever made an approach to his camp or anything like that to try and set anything up like that?
Well, I would love to fight at Celtic Park. I mean, it's definitely up there on my list of venues that I need to fight at and that I want to fight at. And I get that question. People ask me that like daily over Twitter if I'm ever going to fight at Celtic Park or Scotland, and the answer is yes, definitely. I would love to come over there. I've never approached Ricky Burns. I mean, I trained at his gym when I visited. He sent me a shirt that was signed. As for him, I mean, it doesn't make any sense for me to actually try to fight him. I think we're on the same page. I wouldn't want to fight him, but I'd want to fight alongside of him. So if we could be on the same card, maybe in Scotland or, some sort of thing, like maybe he'll fight in Scotland and I'll come be on his card. And then when I fight in Boston, he could come be on my card. That type of relationship. I think that would be good because, I don't really have any interest in fighting him. I think we're on the same team. I wouldn't want him as an opponent at all.
Yeah, that's sort of the way me and Brian were looking at it, to be on the same card, like, do you know what I mean, not rather than fight each other, because that would be huge. Like.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to do that. I definitely have Celtic Park in my eyes. I'd like to fight in Ireland too. Fenway Park is another big venue over here in
I'll
Boston.
fight you in Ireland, man.
And well, you.
If you put on a few pounds, you can go up to my weight, man.
Can I ask a question, Danny?
Yeah.
See your corner. So this is obviously the longest you'd went. I don't think you'd done 10 rounds before. Is that correct? I think the furthest you'd gone was 8 rounds before this.
Yep. That was the first time I've ever done 10.
You've done 10. So tell me, see your corner. See if you're losing. Would they tell you you're winning, or would they be honest with you? Would they?
No. I 100% expect that my corner will tell me exactly what's going on, because anything but the truth is going to waver how I am going to fight. If I'm losing, and if I'm losing so bad I need to go out there and try to get a knockout in the last round, then I'm going to try to do that. But if I'm actually winning and I go out there trying to look out for a knockout in the last round and get caught, I mean, boxing's a sport. It's also about being smart. So I expect that my corner will tell me exactly what's going on. And at the end of the day, Coach Ronnie Shields has more on his resume than anyone in the sport. And, he knows exactly what he's doing. So, I never question anything that he says to me. I just do it because, the people that you put in your corner, you give a special respect to, that you're going to listen to them because they can see things that you can't see when you're in the ring. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it's just, I'm trying to use the analogy of football, and for instance, like a manager, like a Martin O'Neill type manager who was our manager previously, he'd be a very motivational character, and I think that with a football player, even if the guy's rubbish, you'll tell him he's the best in the world, just to try and get the best out of him. But obviously boxing, it's far more like you need to have a far bigger trust relationship with your corner, because it's just you and your opponent out there, and everything is that the minute you get sitting with your corner, that's when your tactics and everything will be built up, and obviously you've got to have that trust as well. So one other thing, so see when it was the furthest you'd went, did your legs feel okay at the 10th round? Did you still feel fit, or was it like a new experience for you going that far into a fight? Because obviously the fitness levels required to go 10 rounds, it must be unbelievably strength sapping, and it must be so hard, because I've done boxing training and it kills you, and I just think the supreme fitness levels of yourself, did you feel it a bit when it got to the 10th round?
No. I mean, I felt phenomenal. I felt like I could have done 15 if I needed to. I think the strongest part of my game is conditioning. I've always been like that. I've just been a, blue collar type of hard worker. And when it comes to, the training camps, I put my work in 2, 3, 4 times a day. I'm always working. So my fitness level is incredible. And, come to that 10th round, it didn't even really feel like the 10th round to me. I felt like I could have done more. And when I look back on it, I felt like maybe I should have even done more in the fight. But, I'm a perfectionist. I'll always pick apart what I did. But, I think it's tough. The last thing that you want to do in a fight is be out of shape, because, those 3-minute rounds can feel like they go like a snap of a finger, or they can feel like they last forever. And, when they feel like they last forever, you're definitely looking at a little bit more punishment, I think.
Yeah, no, that's great stuff, mate. Good to hear.
See when you're up close.
Mick McGinley on Twitter's saying, ask Danny if he can fly over to Turin for the second leg against Juventus, because he's a lucky charm since he's
I know.
I was gutted that I couldn't come over there for the game. I really wanted to. I think about my time at Celtic Park, probably daily, man. It really was that much of an experience that, it's just something that I need to come back to. But, at the end of the day, it was the matter of just being with my family. The extension of the training camp, I hadn't been with them for, 4.5 months. And, once I got home and settled in and I actually had time to, spend some time with my son and my wife, it kind of wasn't an option to be leaving yet.
Danny, so tell me, sorry, Joe. Danny, tell me, is that you back based in Boston then, permanent?
Well, my family and myself will be based in Boston. I mean, Boston is my home. I love it, everything about it. So I'll live in Boston when I'm not in training camp. So
you'll still go back down to Houston, will you?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't get better than Coach Ronnie. You know, I want to finish my career with him as my coach. So when I go to training camp, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever it may be, I'll go down and set up camp in Texas. But when I don't have a fight, I'll be at home with my family in Boston. You know, to be honest, I haven't told anyone yet, but the reason everyone keeps asking me when's my next fight, everything, it hasn't been sorted yet because I'm actually going in for surgery here on Wednesday. Nothing serious, regular day surgery on my arm, just something that has to get taken care of. So that's why I'm home, and that's why, you know, I'll be home recovering. I'll be here for St. Patrick's Day, and you know, it's nice to be home. And you know, I probably haven't had a break from the gym. Who even knows? You know, 3 years now.
Yeah, I was just going to say that when we spoke to you first, you'd been there for a year in Houston, hadn't you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not the type of fighter that takes time off. I never ever do. And the way I look at it is this is kind of forced time off because I need to get, you know, the arm cleaned up, and it's, you know, easy day surgery, only a month recovery. So it's something that I just got to take care of now so that it's not going to affect me in the long run in my career. So, you know, I'm making the best of it. I had some guest appearances. I did Disney on Ice. You know, second time I ever skated on ice skates in my life. Yeah, it was crazy.
Who were you dancing with? Minnie Mouse? Or?
No, I was dancing with the Disney character was the girl from Brave. You know the movie Brave?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I was doing that, and I got a lot of charity stuff that I've been doing. You know, there's some boxing gyms in Dorchester, and I'm going to go down there and put on a clinic and donate some boxing gloves, some equipment to them. And, you know, I'm just trying to do the things that I don't have time to do when I'm stuck in the gym all day and all night. You know what I mean?
So you're back home playing just with family then, just playing family and being a regular guy then?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you'd call it a regular guy. I feel like I'm still, you know, all over the place with you know, just everything. You know, I'm always doing something, but you know, I do have to relax because I'm going on under the knife on Wednesday. So, you know, depending on how I feel, hopefully I should be back into camp. I'm looking at a fight in June, so early summer, and I don't know where yet, but that's my recovery and back into shape session. So, you know, early June I'll be back in the ring.
That's perfect because I know you're pushed for time, Danny. So just maybe one last thing, but if you're going to be fighting in June, that means you'll be free in August. So myself and Jason are coming over to New York in August, and there's going to be like a big sort of Celtic night at the New York Mets game. It's going to be a Fenian night.
No way.
Mets game. Everybody in the Celtic tops, all the guys from the Manhattan Club, the Bronx Boys. Which I can't remember the name of the other one, but we're all going to be there anyway. The guys for the parlour, we're all going to get to the
guys
Mets.
And the New Jersey guys as well are all going to be there. Maybe about 70 or 80 Celtic fans, so you'd be more than welcome. Guest the honour, Danny boy.
Oh, I'll definitely take a drive down there. Are the Boston boys gonna make that commute or what?
Well, that would be. Well, I don't think the New York guys have spoken to them, but if you can speak to any of the guys there, they're more than welcome.
Right.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'll definitely come. I think I'm trying to get to the convention in Vegas too. That's in June, right?
All right, yeah.
I'm going to take a trip down there.
Perfect. So one last question for me, Danny. So you're 27 now. So what do you reckon? When do you reckon you'll reach your peak in boxing, or what age do you think you'll fight up until, if God willing, you've still got your fitness and stuff like that?
I don't know. I guess as long as I feel good. I mean, I think age is just a number. It's a number that people put on to limit stuff, and that's not the way I feel about anything. I feel like as long as I feel good and I feel healthy and my heart is in it, because that's the most important thing. If I don't love something and I'm not happy doing it, I don't want to do it. And boxing is something I love. So, you know, I think it's going to be tough. I'm not in it to make a lot of money, to be rich and famous. I mean, I just want to use boxing to, you know, do great things and to win a world championship belt. And, you know, maybe it can open a few doors for me somewhere where, you know, after boxing, I can get a cool job helping people or doing something. But, you know, as for a time span, I don't really have a time. But, you know, as long as I'm healthy and, my wife approves of it.
Yeah, no, it's a great answer, mate. That's a great answer. No, you're absolutely right. As long as you put your heart and soul into something, then you can be successful. Absolutely. No, we wish you every success in the future, mate. We're all behind you.
Definitely. Anybody else want to throw anything else there? No, Paul?
No, I'm glad he's getting some time, with the family and all that. I know he's got a young child and that, and I know how hard it is to be away from. So I hope you're, enjoying that time with the family, Danny.
Oh yeah, I mean it's cool, man. It's cool to my boy's gonna be 2 in next week, and I'm gonna try to take him down there, teach him how to ice skate, and bring him out, kick the soccer ball around. So it's nice to be a dad. I'm always a fighter. I'm always a boxer, but it's nice for once, a little bit, as short as it may be, to actually just be a dad. And I get to do a lot of stuff that people can't. And I'm always on Twitter. I'm talking to the fans. That's probably the highlight of my day, is talking to everyone and getting the message from people. I love that type of stuff.
Okay. See another thing. See, being like a Celtic fan, Danny, and over here. See if we're say I'm sitting at the canteen at lunchtime or whatever, and there's just a few of us talking, and I say something like, I was speaking to that guy, Danny O'Connor, and everybody knows who you are. See, every Celtic supporter, everybody knows you. It's like, oh, that's the guy, the Celtic fan from Boston, and it's just like among the Celtic community, especially. Well, I don't really talk to him on the other side, but. Among the Celtic community, everybody knows you, and you're basically a name that everyone within the Celtic community knows now. So well done, mate.
I always say that's that guy who was on HomeBhoys.
Yeah, you guys got me started. I give credit all to you, but and that just goes all the way back since day one, when I've been saying that it really is like a family. I get the most genuine, caring messages from the Celtic family just about, life and me and following me and supporting me. And, I take it to heart because it's a great thing, man. I love reading that stuff. Everyone's so supportive of what I do, and, it's an amazing feeling.
Well, you reap what you sow, mate, and you deserve it, because at the end of the day, you don't get anything in life for nothing, and you've earned it. So more power to you.
Thank you.
Well, listen, Danny, we know you're tight for time, so we'll let you get off and get back to doing your housework or whatever your wife's going to have you doing now for the rest of the day.
Vacuuming and cleaning the toilet.
Yeah, all this tough guy boxing shit. Next thing the Hoover comes out, he's going.
Could be worse. Could be away to see Justin Bieber.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me, man. Anytime.
No problem, Danny. Take it easy, mate.
All the best, Danny. Hail,
Good luck, mate. Good luck.
All right, man. Talk to you guys soon.
Cheers.
We should we should organise a Hail Media charity boxing night. I'm sure there's a few of the guys in different shows wouldn't mind. I would love to get in the ring with that BJ Macfield and knock his head off. Cheeky bastard that is. I'm sure there's a few other matchups I can think of as well.
I'm saying nothing.
We could do like a WWE, couldn't we? We could do like a tag team thing. We could all fight one person.
Tag team.
What is it? The Royal Rumble.
Well, ours will be the Royal Rumble, obviously. Right, we get down to talk about some football now. We got somebody was giving it a boxing chat there in the chat room, but it's not every day you get Danny on. So we're talking about football. Hello? What?
Yep.
Hello?
What are you going to say?
No, I'm just saying, people are giving it. No way.
People are always giving it.
Tell them to send a receipt. Refunds in the post.
We'll talk about football. We go straight on to the game yesterday.
Oh.
Yep.
Who was there? You were there, Jason and Paul, yeah?
Yeah.
Paul would have been, was it Rory's, it was his first confession mass. Priest was mass at 12 o'clock, so I didn't get out. I missed the first 5 minutes. So, I watched it on the TV, guys. Sorry.
I believe it was bitterly cold, Paul.
It certainly was, Joe. It was absolutely freezing, to be honest. And of course, there wasn't that great a crowd there because it was another one of the games where the kid season tickets weren't allowed unless you had to pay extra. So nobody pays extra, and it was pretty empty. But it was pretty scratchy first half, as I'm sure you've all seen. Dundee could have had at least a couple of goals with the chances they had in that. Rockets seemed to go up in the second half. Some of the football at times was brilliant. Really liking the Stokes Hooper partnership being back, and Joe Ledley was immense, playing a captain's role, man of the match, scored 2 goals. Fantastic. And we also had our friends in the Green Brigade unveil a big, nice banner with the Usual Suspects written on it. And it was the iconic image for the Usual Suspects film that involved various people from Focus and the police force and all that kind of thing. So that was very good. And also the Green Brigade were leafleting before the game as well.
Paul, I loved how they made Alex Salmond much fatter than the rest.
Aye, SNP was really, really good. I mean, look, it was good because the people that sit around me, and I don't know if this is maybe Jason's experience or not, they were absolutely giving the Green Brigade dogs abuse the previous week without even knowing why they weren't in the ground or whatever. And then to a man where they were all reading a statement, which was pretty much what the guys had been talking about on our show last Monday, put onto a bit of paper, basically. And it definitely changed the mindset of a few people. They didn't, especially when they listed, as they talked about in the past, about how they had all the things that had been charged with and then all the not guilty verdicts right after it and stuff like that. And, some horrible stories in the thing. I mean, one guy seems to be getting harassed pretty much every time he steps foot out the house or he goes to a game or his work or whatever, and he's been in court twice now, this guy. So, but in terms of the game itself, we're scoring plenty of goals. I think that's 23 in the last 5 home games. And, hopefully that'll get people coming back for the next 2 home games of the season, because the way it's looking is we're going to clinch the league on St Patrick's weekend, which is a nice coincidence.
Aye. Because if we beat Motherwell Wednesday night, it's
if
a good
results
chance.
go our way against Motherwell and Ross County, i.e. we win them, and then Motherwell are obviously going to drop points if we beat them, and then Cali drop points with that as well. The league's pretty much done and dusted that weekend.
Aberdeen at home, and I hope it is a home game. We've won it away loads of times. It's always good for us that we can get a ticket and stuff like that, but it's better at home games. All the kids can be there as well, and it's absolutely.
It's always a measure for me that the season's coming to an end and the title's always done when Sky Sports start showing our home games.
Aye, because they only have an agreement to show a certain amount, so they know they're coming towards the end of it, and it goosed my mates for Bilbao for going to the game, which I won't be forgiving Sky about. That was a nightmare, but there you go.
I'll tell you what, that's going to be a huge weekend, Paddy's weekend, if that comes off. You know what I mean? Because it's a bank holiday weekend here, obviously in Ireland. Like I've got the Monday off. I've actually got a wedding on the Saturday. Joe, my mate Fran's getting married, and David Connolly's coming across, so we've got to get a good crack, and then we'll all be out for the football on the Sunday. That'll be amazing. Well, I'll definitely be moved to the Sunday if we've got.
No, because can he be? Because it's a League Cup final.
League Cup, so say League Cup
final. It's League Cup final. So what? It'll be an early kick-off on Saturday then.
Possibly, but I mean, I'm sure you have noticed we're on Sky 3 times this week. With the game last on Sunday there, Wednesday night, and then the Simon game as well. All of a sudden, ESPN, by all accounts, have chucked it. We're going to show the game at Ross County next week. Decided no, we're not going to bother now, because why should we? And now it's back to being at 3 o'clock. And I think BT Vision is now going to come in and take over from ESPN as of next season for the next 4 years. So. I mean, I've yet to speak to anybody yet who actually has BT Vision.
Just going to say, I was
just going to ask you, what is it?
I mean, BT Vision is something that's been on the go in Scotland for a couple of years now, but it's basically like Freeview where, you can buy Sky Sports on top of it. But I would imagine that the only success they're going to have is if they lump in with deals with Sky and Virgin, because that's the two main things everybody else has, obviously. But they've took over, and, I think with ESPN, I think that's why you saw what happened with him, doing an England show, we say at Berwick on Saturday with the reporting and all that thing, because they basically chucked it and they didn't really care about the Scottish football now, and that's why they're not even bothering showing or moving games and stuff like that. So it's unfortunate, as Jason says, you get this ridiculous Sky thing with Dundee and the 4 guys, because I've seen the photos, posted on Twitter, Jason, the guys sitting on the dugout, and the first thing I thought is, how happy would they have been if they'd been sitting in this park the following day with watching a game,
no, they were absolutely gutted. So they were gutted, but what do you do? Being for Bilbao, they understand with the TV, because they're there and you've got 2 weeks' notice. And because if any time I book up to go to Bilbao, you take a punt at it. You get the odd Friday night game, which Athletic were playing Real Sociedad on Friday there, but. So normally you take a punt and say, all right, I get there for a Saturday morning, but you don't leave till a Monday, because the game can be any time between 5 o'clock on a Saturday, right the way up to about 9 or 10 on a Sunday night. You know, and they only find out 2 weeks before it. So they're fully aware of how TV dictates everything. But with the BT Vision stuff, I would love somebody to come in and rival Sky. You know, because it's only going to be good for a consumer, because that Murdoch, he's got a monopoly on everything. But I would love somebody to come in and offer a product, because where I live, you can't get cable. So Virgin isn't an option where I live. So I would love for somebody to come in and try and rival Sky, and it could maybe hopefully drive the prices down for the punters.
I wonder if Joe, maybe like say Satanta Ireland, would come back in, maybe just like for the Irish punters. No, obviously, because here they still show Premiership games now in Satanta.
Satanta Ireland are back showing Celtic TV, aren't they?
They're showing Celtic TV, that's right. So I just wonder if they would maybe step in for. Certainly, it would only be Celtic games they'd be interested in, because it's all they could sell right enough. But
when I was in Dublin a couple of weeks ago, Harper, I mean, I was staggered with the amount of footage that they got there. I mean, I saw all the goals and games for the Black North about 10 minutes after they'd all finished. Linfield, Clifton Ball and all that kind of thing.
Right.
Then at 8 o'clock there was a programme on RTE with Ronnie Whelan and a couple of other guys, and it had an hour and a half worth of Premiership highlights. And yet, even in this country, we're waiting until 10 o'clock on a Sunday night for Scottish and 10:30 for English on a Saturday night.
No, they do it. They do it well. They do cover it quite well. Like Satanta Island, well, obviously that stuff, they're picking up the Satanta Cup because they're sponsoring it, obviously. I don't have Satanta Island, but all the bars and that would have it, like, do you know what I mean? So, no, there's plenty of football in the box here, if that's what you're into.
Yep. I think it was nice, obviously, getting back to Sunday's game with the Green Brigade leaflet before it, and obviously they got a good reception. They got right behind the boys as well, and I think some of their songs were quite funny too. I think it was Facebook and Focus Don't Go. It's magic, you know. And so I think the boys have got I don't know if they've got some sort of protest next week. Is that what I think it said that? And I read one of the leaflets at work today. But no, it's good that they're getting the message out there. And obviously, with the show last week was a rip-roaring success for all parties. And the figures that we had that listened in last week, I don't know if you have covered this before I come on, but the figures were through the roof, the amount of people that listened to it. So hopefully, it's went to some of the right ears in at Celtic, and as well, whatever end of it can actually make a difference to make these lads' lives easier, just going to watch the football team they love.
Certainly, folk I spoke to listening to the show, most of the reaction was shock. You know, none of them really realised the extent of what was actually happening with Green Brigade. Everybody I spoke to thought it was something to do with police and stewards at the game and pushing and shoving and maybe doing lateral movement. When you look at that kind of thing, I mean, that's just beyond the pale. You know what I mean?
Yes.
The kind of stuff that's going on, and you know, hopefully, as you say, with shows like this, you know, they'll get a fair hearing, and maybe they'll be prejudging them or anything like that. You get the message out, and that might be the best thing that they could do.
And I think as well, for them putting leaflets out before the game yesterday, that's in their own words. So the wider Celtic support, because even shows like this, we're only the tip of the iceberg, people that's actually listening in. I know there was thousands of people listening to last week's show, but you're looking at a crowd on Saturday, say it was between 35 and 40,000, that's maybe being a bit kind, but 35,000, the vast majority of them will have took a leaflet and will have read it. So, you know, this is what about me personally, the Green Brigade need to get their point across in their own words, rather than just putting statements on like Celtic supporters' websites. That's only getting to a small amount of the Celtic support. There's a load of people go to absolute technophobes go to Celtic Park and don't see these things and don't listen to us and whatever. So I think they've done the right thing getting their message out there, and it's just basically telling the truth. I mean, these aren't the devils, these boys. I mean, they're just daft Celtic supporters that love going to watch their club and love just the same as the rest of us and love to create an atmosphere. They never said they were any angels last week, but just get the message out there, get the wider support, and then at the end of the day, we're all behind them anyway. Use mediums like this, as we say. We've got an open door policy here, then come on here anytime and tell their story.
It's funny how you said that, Jason, about the wide range of the Celtic support being technophobes. It's maybe not even technophobes, they're just ignorance. It's no ignorance, not the word either. It's just they just don't know it's there.
Aye.
Basically, they just don't know it's there, because it's amazing the amount of people who spoke to me since the show last week, who had the show passed on to them to somebody, because it was obviously a big show, a popular show. People were giving it to people. Look, you've got to listen to this sort of thing. It's the Green Brigade, and it's unbelievable the amount of people didn't even know what a podcast was. Still, you get a sort of false reality that you think because you're doing something right, because we're all doing something, you think, oh, every Celtic fan's doing this. And it's just not true, because if you think, when I think about all the guys I went to the football with, right, and the Roy Milne posse bus, yeah, I think I know two of them. They're on Twitter, for example. My work, there's not one of the Celtic fans in my work had heard the Hail Media, who even had listened to any podcast, who know anything about that stuff. So, I mean, there's a mass... We're only... When I hear people saying that the podcasts are... It's maybe starting to go the other way. It's had its day and that. I mean, it's not. It's only the beginning, man. Do you know what I mean? As one man once famously said, it's just the beginning.
Oh, no, yeah, I 100% agree. I know Paul was mentioning that earlier today as well. But out of all my mates, but 2 or 3% of them have ever listened to this. Right. The rest of them, no interest at all. They're like, what's that thing that you do? I'm like, oh, it's just this thing, HomeBhoys. Oh, like a lot of pish. You know,
that's what you get,
aye, they're not interested in the slightest. But I reckon if they listened once, maybe know this show with me on it, because they've got enough listening to my crap during the week and stuff like that. But some of the other shows and whatever, you know, I think it's great, you know. I think it's a positive, and what more do you want? I mean, the four of us enjoy it. Do you know what I mean? So if anybody else wants to come in, put their neb in, and it's just a place to give them a voice. And I don't see the negative at all. I think it's excellent. But you're right. There's a massive untapped market out there. With these smartphones being as popular now, and basically everybody's got one now. Or everybody's got a laptop or whatever. You know, they can download Skype. They can download just type into Spreaker and they can listen to this, or whether they're going to their work or they're commuting and stuff like that with their earphones. I mean, the market out there is phenomenal that you can actually get into this. And I think with our support, we like looking after our own, and we like listening to stuff about our own club. So the wide variety of stuff in Hail Media is brilliant. You know, there's something there for everybody.
You can gauge how old a person is, Jason, by the time when they go, these smartphones. Here's some alien device.
I know. I mean, the three years know what I'm all about. I've not got a clue. I need Apple to send me step-by-step guides to do anything. And I'm just, it's over my head, most of this stuff. But if I can do it, anybody can do it. You know, it's just easy.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, the best part about the show last week, the Green Brigade podcast, was I thought that, I mean, the reputation that the police would like to give them, or maybe some stewards would like to give them, this focus group, whatever, that sort of thing, they would thrive on the whole sort of smokescreen that the Green Brigade don't really talk to anybody, and they haven't got a medium to voice themselves apart from banners. And in that respect, then, the police and anybody else can just spread vicious rumours about them that will just travel by word of mouth. Whereas for the first time last week, the guys come out and said, listen, we're not these big bad monsters, we're just regular fans, and our lives are being made an absolute misery. And that totally, and that takes the power away from anybody that wants to have, you know, anything against them. And that's the more they do stuff like that, the more they get the word out, and hopefully the better it's going to get. But then again, the ball's in Celtic's court as well.
Celtic need to do a lot to help them, but I think you'll always get knockers. No, you'll always get the folk, Joe. You know the folk. Their glass is always half empty. They always know better, and they they like to put a dampener on absolutely everything. You know, they just we breed sort of. There's a load of jealous people out there for whatever reason, you know, they just can't see anything by them, you know, and that's the kind of guys that they're the kind of guys that knock the Green Brigade, you know, because if you're a Celtic fan and you feel deep enough about Celtic and the ethos of the club, and just if you're into the psyche of a Celtic fan, I mean, these guys represent youth culture, and these guys represent nearly every Celtic fan I know, and all my friends. We were all like when we were younger going to watch Celtic, and I would have been writing about that. See, if I was 18 to 25 or whatever going to the games, I'd have been writing about that Green Brigade stuff.
I can see you making a comeback.
No chance. I'm delighted I'm at the opposite end of the stadium.
It does. I mean, like even the lads said themselves last week in the show. It does seem like that. They just want to sterilise the atmosphere. They want to sterilise the people. I'd say if they had a chance and they could cloud bomb them all with Ritalin to calm them down, they'd probably do it. You know what I mean? Just because they just want to see these guys having a good time. And there's a bit of a bah humbug about it. You know what I mean?
Aye, and Paul made a great point last week about we started sort of talking about the songs debate and things like that. I don't think it's about the songs debate either, Paul. And you're right. If it's about the songs, let's sit down and talk about the songs. You know, make that the head of the meeting and say, right, this is what we need to discuss. Let's discuss these songs. Let's hear the pros and cons about it. But you're right. It's not about that, mate. It's about it's a far deeper thing.
Celtic and the Post will never make it about the songs because they've not got a leg to stand on. I mean, it's really that simple, you know what I mean? It's like, you know, this is about the fact that the establishment hate groups, intelligent, organised rebels. They have done since time immemorial and they always will. And I think the establishment in the future, I reckon the Green Brigade is going to become this sort of massive political force that's going to destroy everything for them and all this kind of thing. And it's all nonsense. It's just guys what watch Celtic and, you know, I mean, if you look at the stuff they've went through in the last couple of weeks, and then you flip that over and say, look at the banners they've made and all that. I mean, how many guys must have been sitting there saying, why am I even bothering making this banner, spending my money, and we might not even get in the ground, but they still do it. They still go in the ground, you know, and they've made it a lot stronger stuff, I think, than some people realise.
See, another thing as well about the knockers, Jason, I think, right, and even just Celtic fans, this is a Scottish and Irish mentality, right? We love to sort of cheer people on, and then as soon as they get to that sort of pinnacle, we're like, well, who the fuck think they are?
Aye.
They don't want to see anybody getting on too much.
If somebody successful walks in the pub and buys everybody a drink, check Flash Harry out. They walk in and they just buy their mates a drink. Fucking miserable.
That's what you're dealing with, right?
Aye, and that's we all know plenty of folk like that. Do you know what I mean? So that's not the issue. That's not the issue. They people don't need to be worried about. You know, they people are always going to exist in one form or the other. They're best ignored. And I'm 100% sure the vast majority of the Celtic support is well behind the Green Brigade. But at the end of the day, we're all there to support Celtic. And the guys couldn't have been plainer about that last week. And they says, if there was no Celtic, we wouldn't exist. You know, the last thing we want to do is fight Celtic. You know, because they says that is the full reason for our being, is to support Celtic. You know, and they're not grown in size. There is 70 or 80 of them. They've got other guys that maybe help with displays or help put up displays in their section, and they're grateful for their support. But they haven't grown as an organisation. There is only 70 or 80 of them, and they're happy doing what they're doing. They're not wanting to evolve into something else. They're happy to bring in a spectacle to the football, making their banners and creating an amazing atmosphere and get behind the team. They haven't got any other objectives. You know, that's what their full being is all about. So, but there's nothing negative there.
No. I mean, it's pretty fair to say that their attitude is spreading. You know what I mean? Their willingness to make the atmosphere good is spreading among the fans. I mean, you can see, what did he say? That section holds 400. Is that what he said last week?
Yeah, roughly, I think.
And he said there's only 70 or 80 of them.
Yeah.
But I mean, pretty much the whole sort of section is up, giving it loads. You know what I mean? So obviously that's just spreading through the people, and maybe that's what they're worried about. Maybe they're worried, oh my God, maybe they're all, this is going to go crazy on us.
How many thousand, and I think I could quite happily say thousands relocation forms I think they're going to get in the summer, wanting to head towards that section or even be close to it, like what Gary McGee had done. Took his boy was desperate to get him beside the Green Brigade, so Gary relocated there. And I'm telling you, there people all over the stadium want to. There'll be guys who maybe don't want to be in the thicket, but they want to just be sort of close to it so they can be on the edge of that atmosphere. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And my mate sits near there with his son. He deliberately moved over there to be quite near it as well. So there'll be a load of people like that, but a lot of appetite for that. I'll just stay in 402 to be honest with you. I'll get the carpet slippers on. Sorry guys, but I'm just not that type anywhere. So
Joe, we noticed that when we were out in Belfast, right quiet when John's up top.
Well, Harper, in fairness, he was quiet at around 2 in the morning when he was asleep.
I done it Saturday night as well with the bass. I can perfect standing in a bar sleeping. So that's my party trick.
I've done many of those. Did I ever tell you the story about the time I fell asleep in Florida in a nightclub, and I woke up outside the nightclub and nobody was around, but somebody had taken the opportunity to tie my hands and feet together with my own shoelaces.
You told us that in a 1, 2, 3.
It was brutal. I had to pay it.
Did you not get raped off a tramp or something?
No, I didn't get raped off a tramp. I had to pay a tramp $20 to untie me.
That was California, wasn't it?
That's right, you had to pay the tramp to untie you or something.
I had to pay him to untie me,
How did they not just take your money?
That's what I'm saying. I mean, obviously he wasn't quite an experienced tramp. I mean,
just first day on the job.
First day on the job, and he thought, "No, I'll be good with this guy."
That's terrible. So anyway, the football.
Joe Ledley back as a big player, coming back with a vengeance to, I don't know, I suppose get back at Neil Lennon for.
Joe Ledley was phenomenal.
Leaving him out of the Juventus game.
But I mean, I thought Anthony Stokes was great as well.
Yeah. I want to talk about Anthony Stokes because I owe Anthony Stokes an apology. I know that he'll probably be listening to this. No, he probably won't be, actually. But I thought Anthony Stokes was maybe finished just with that big spell out, and I thought maybe the team was maybe going to move on without him. But he's came back and he's playing well. And I'll tell you something, he's a far, far better footballer than he's given credit for. He's a very intelligent footballer. And he's still only 24. Can you believe that? He's still only 24, man. And I know we've spoken about that before when we were speaking about Hooper and Stokes. That could be the partnership for years, we said last year. But when and people keep saying to me, especially over here, he's not very well liked here for some reason in Ireland. The guys here, no Celtic fans, like, I mean, they're always trying, the Man U fans, that, so, he never did nothing when he was at Sunderland, that. I was like, he was 18. So what? Do you know what I mean? How many 18, 19-year-olds are setting the Premiership on fire? Unless you're away in Rooney. Do you know what I mean? They're few and far between. So he's had a lot of maturing to do. And I think he still is maturing. And I think he is getting better. And I desperately want to see him get a new contract because I think he'll just improve and improve and improve.
I know he's a cultured football player and he's actually shown it. Some of his set-up play... You know, and that ball he put across for Dylan McGeoch's header, that was a thing of beauty. Yeah. You know, because McGeoch clearly called for it and he just seen it, and his ball was precision, and then what a bullet header for McGeoch. But him, and then he set up Ledley's goal as well. Yeah. That just how simple did Ledley's goal look? Was the defending that bad, do you think? Or do you think it was just well worked with Celtic? I think it was a bit of both.
Bit of both, man.
Aye, but no, it was... Obviously, when they get the man sent off, it was game over. But Paul said we struggled a wee bit in the first half, wasn't it the best?
It was flat. It was just a flat performance in the first half. I mean, you're missing Commons, you're missing Samaras, you're missing Wanyama. To be honest, every time I see Kyle playing, I'm desperate for him to do something to change my mind on him because I don't see it. I think we've moved on to Kyle. He's a guy who's... He's never really kicked the ball since he got that bad injury, and it's a shame because he was playing well at the time, and I just don't see a place in that team for Kyle when everybody's available. Like, do you know what I mean? And it's a shame because he was looking like he was going to be a great player for us. And the thing is, his problem now is he has to use days like yesterday to put in a big performance because his chances are going to be few and far between. In the big games because he's not going to be a first pick. No, you're going to be close. If Joe Ledley's sitting on the bench against Juventus, Kyle's even further back. Do you know what I mean?
No, I think with Kyle, I mean, the way I look at it is that, you know, you have people who say, Mulgrew should never be in the team. And people who defend Mulgrew will say, why? But look at his delivery and his set plays and that kind of thing. There's nothing really you can say about Kyle why he should be in the team now. Mm-hmm. You know, he's not scoring goals. He's not really breaking up attacks. He did do one funny thing on Sunday. I don't know if the TV picked up on it. Was we've got a free kick in the last kick of the ball when Stokes was about to take it. Brad Douglas was trying to set up his wall, and Kyle stood in front of him and started jumping up and down so he couldn't see the wall. It was quite bizarre and quite funny at the time. But Brad Douglas just because he was usually jumping up and waving his arms up and down in the air. Brad Douglas was just like, "What is this?" And because then everybody, you know, the perception was normally, it wasn't like everybody started laughing. Everybody at a man in me said, "Oh Christ, I wouldn't mess with Brad Douglas." You know? It's like you spark out. Exactly, I know.
Do you know what? Here's a wee tactic, Paul. See when you're on that there, right? This is a wee similar thing. Neil Lennon, he can huff this, right? I'm going to give him this, right? See, as soon as you get a free kick, the Celtic players should set up like a 6-man wall right in front of the ball, so the keeper doesn't know where it is. Do you know what I mean? So the keeper can't set up a wall, and then just when you're ready to take it, all the boys just disperse, and their wall could be set up anyway. They don't know where the ball is. How's nobody doing that? That's genius.
You could be onto something there. It's a bit because it's the way teams set up in that. It's like what's the point of having 5 players, Celtic players in the box if they've got to have a shot? You know, and the chances are it's either going to go in or over. You know, to me, it's a bit like zonal marking. You know, zonal marking only works if the other team decide to zonally attack you, like, you know. But it's you know, I think you're on, son. I think, by the way, I think it's a dying art, set pieces. You know, like there used to be loads of stuff that went on. Now there's very, very little.
See, when I'm playing at Celtic Park in May, I'm building me a one-man wall. The Great Wall of Harper's Belly.
Because loads of them reckon that the wall actually, depending on how far out the ball is, the wall actually aids the attacker because it gives them something to bend round. You know, and like, and if you're, say, like 35 yards out, what is the point of a wall, really? Because they're not really, you know, it sometimes blocks the keeper's view. So if they, I don't know, but I mean, I think there's definitely new things can happen. You know, see, in football, I think things evolve all the time, and I think there'll be a new way. Like, see the way Barcelona started passing the ball about. I don't know. There's an argument in case to say they're getting found out a bit now.
Yeah.
So there'll be another sort of new way of playing football come out. Something will happen, you know, and it's like things evolve and new styles will come in, and there will be something. But there should be some coaches out there with some different views of the way things should get done. And I would always be looking for new ways of doing stuff. Definitely.
It would probably confuse most teams if nobody set a wall up, though. Right?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, like, to take Jason's point, one thing I did hear was that the boy Keith Wright used to play for Hibs. He's now like the SFN's main man in Slovenian, basically. Yeah. And he's doing it at my son's training and that a lot. And he was telling me that he'd went over to watch Barcelona's youth teams train. And he was talking about that, exactly what you're talking about, that passing thing and all that. He says, "Oh, do you know how they do that?" And I said, "No." He says, "What they do is in their training," he says, "they have 2 11-a-side teams, the boys, and they're all wearing exactly the same strip, the Barcelona home kit, both times. But what the difference is that one team's wearing white hats and one team's wearing red hats. And the key is to get people to look up when they look up.
Aye, they're never looking down. They've always got to look up.
Sounds so simple, doesn't it? But it works. Similarly with that 5-a-side they play over there, the name escapes me. They didn't play with was. You know, like we always have 5-a-side pitches that have was. And the reason it's simple was because they say, well, you didn't have a war in a football match, so you didn't have a war in a 5-a-side match.
Aye, so you know, it encourages
the real thing. Exactly, because I mean, we've all done that at 5-a-sides, kick the ball off the wall to go past somebody. You know what I mean?
Aye.
But there, they said they encouraged to say, "Oh no, didn't pass it wide, keep it going." You know, elsewhere. You know, simple stuff but effective.
Right, but I just think there'll be something else will take over for their way. I mean, the way they pass the ball about is absolutely phenomenal. But I think we get wise to it. I think AC Milan get wise to it. You know, and there is ways you can play. I just don't know. Is it a thing in La Liga that teams are embarrassed to play that way? Because you see them winning 6 and 7-1, and that team's letting them walk through them. If you face up against them and try and pass the ball about, they're going to absolutely rip you to shreds.
I mean, you're an athletic club fan, Jason. I mean, you could probably say that's sort of what happened to them in the final last year. Do you know what I mean? They tried to open up and play football against Barcelona, and you just can't do it. Like.
Bielsa's the athletics manager's crazy. I love him, but he's crazy. And my mates were saying at the weekend something's got to get done because they're looking like they could get relegated now. The way they're playing, they've just totally fell apart. But he's got his own. He's a great coach. He's a mental coach, but he's got his own way of thinking and he's got his own way of doing stuff. And I applaud the guy for it. But he is an absolute crackpot. He's a one-off. But the way they play is mental because they played Sociedad on Friday night and they could have been about 4-0 up at half time, and then I think it was one each at half time, maybe. I think it was one each. They lost 3-1, but the second half Sociedad could have scored 5 or 6. You know, they were terrible, but it's just it's the way. I don't know. He's a mental patient. What were you going to say, Harper?
I don't kind of mind.
Pardon me. Just sneezed there.
Oh no, I do remember it was about the boys, but we'll stick on the game and we'll come back to it. I just want to ask you, because I was telling you and Paul spoke about the tour, and we'll come back to that though after the game.
Yeah.
Remember you were talking about the boys went the tour.
Oh yeah.
I just want to discuss that.
Okay.
Just see about the game. What's the deal with Thomas Ronye? Personally, I don't think he should be anywhere near the team now. If the guy he's come out and said he's not signing a new contract, so to me he's not no, it's just Celtic then. We've got this guy, the Israeli boy, Gershon. Is it Gershon? How you say it? Gershon. He played well a couple of weeks ago. But
is he injured?
Is he injured? I don't know. But I would in a game like that against Dundee, we're 21 points or 22 points ahead in the league now, but after winning obviously the weekend. I'd rather bring in the boy Fraser or somebody to come and play centre half. And I mean, I just didn't see the point of playing with a guy who said he's further off. So let's bring in one of the kids or someone like that. I don't understand the pick him when he said he's leaving. So if that's him leaving, I wouldn't give him. He wouldn't play a game in my team. When we've got young boys who could be coming in to play against, like say, no disrespect, but like say Dundee, like.
That's a fair point. Well, I know the substitutes he named yesterday. There wasn't any defenders. You could have played, I suppose, Wanyama, you could have played him at the back, but Rogic, McCourt, Wanyama, Miku, Lassad, Samaras. So he didn't have any defenders there. I think did the big boy not get a thigh strain or something like that? Big Gershon.
Aye, I think so.
Aye. So as I say, I would have definitely played him. I think Lenny would have as well if he was fit. But maybe he just doesn't think the young laddies are ready for it. But no, I would agree with you, Harper. I think the young laddie Fraser or stuff like that. But we don't know how they're performing in the reserves. Or I think Celtic had an under-20s game or whatever, so maybe he was playing in that. Yeah. But I agree with you. If the guy's not playing, just leave him out and get rid of him.
That's the point, right?
I actually think he could turn into a bit of a player, Rodney, as well. I don't know. I know he's sick now and everybody's lit, but I think there's a bit of a player in there. But
I'm the same. I think he's all right. I'm not down crying his ability or anything like that. I just, if he's not staying, then he's not that good that he's that. Oh, wait, keep him in the team. He'll play with us till he leaves. He's just
totally agree. Totally agree.
It was good to see Dylan McGeoch in the team yesterday, I thought. I mean, to be honest with you, I noticed yesterday he's actually smaller than James Forrest. You notice that?
Is he?
He must be clinically a dwarf. I mean, seriously.
You know, if you're 5'2", 5'2" is... sorry.
No, 5 foot, is that the clinical height for a dwarf?
So some guy in my work was saying he was 5'3", so... He was saying 5'2" because he's 5'3", because I can't call him Tom.
I was watching when he scored and he ran over and he embraced James Forrest and I was like, Jesus Christ, he's smaller than he is.
Aye.
Well, fair play to him. It was some leap for his goal, but he's one of these guys, McGeoch, I think he's a wary, exciting wee player. He can go past guys and stuff, you know, and he's not necessarily a guy that's going to get you off your seat, but something special to him, you know, I think.
I feel a wee bit sorry for him. I think he's under a wee bit... He maybe feels under a wee bit pressure, or maybe I'm just surmised that. Because I kind of look at him and I'm expecting a bit wizardry every time he's on the ball. When we've got a player like that, I'll be one of these guys whenever Paddy McCourt got the ball, wanted them just to take on 10 players. Mum didn't care what else. And I'm a wee bit like that with these sort of players. Since McGeoch got that goal against the Mum, just kind of expect him to do it every now and again. Like.
He was injury.
I mean, he's a good player. I actually see him, you know, I didn't see him being an out-and-out winger. I think he's going to move inside soon, you know, develop that way. But, you know, he's a fantastic player and he's wet through a lot of shit off the field. I know he after that wonder goal against St Mirren, the Celtic had to get the family a new house because he was getting so much crap, you know, in the Milton for their friends across the city and stuff, and they had to do that. But, you know, he's absolute Celtic daft, and I've met him twice actually with my son, and he's a very humble kind of guy as well, you know, time for everybody kind of thing. But his natural ability is absolutely frightening. The way he moves about the park as well is kind of reminiscent of a young Paul Scholes. He's always moving, he's always passing, you know, and again, going back to the Barcelona thing, that's what they're always doing. If they're not getting the ball within 3 or 4 seconds, they're moving. And I think he could be one of these players that sort of shirk that thing we have in Scotland where, if he's not 6'2", he's never going to make it, you know, because his ability will see him through, I think.
Aye, no, absolutely. I'll tell you another one that I'm really looking forward to seeing Meres Rogic. I like the look at him. I really like the look of that boy. Absolutely. I think he's a good player. And he's the kind of guy I like to see in the midfield. He's always got the head up as well, and he's no frightened to make a run into the box. And it's always these guys. It's like I know you said Paul Scholes there, but Paul Scholes is my favourite all-time English Premiership player. I just love the way he plays the game, and he always had like ESP vision. Like he would always arrive in the box at the right time. And I think Raul with Real Madrid was like that a while back. You know, he was like one of the forwards. He was a centre forward, but he was in the halfway line a lot, and he would always delay his run, and he would just like appear in the box, you know, at the right time. And there's definitely a skill to that. You know, it's not just luck with the way these guys do. They know the way the game pans out, and they know when to make their runs and when not to make their runs. And their decision making on the park is what stands them apart from sort of their peers. They just have like this sixth sense that they know what they're doing. I know that crackpot Mike Parry. I think he said in that Talk Sport years ago, he's mental, but I think he's good. He's good fun, and I think he's good value. But I think that radio station's a lot poorer without him. But he said he classed like Wayne Rooney. He classed him up there with Einstein as a genius, but his point was that he is a genius in the football park. You know, like, the way his brain thinks, you know, is far quicker than a mere mortal, because like them and the ball feel at one with each other. Do you know what I mean? And I just think certain people on a football field, it comes natural to them. They don't need, you know, you can't train a lot of that, and you can train like defenders and stuff like that, how to read a game. But certain midfield geniuses are people that play up front. They have got something that the normal punter on the street doesn't have, and it's just the way their brain sort of operates with the ball. I think it's magic, and I think that Rodgick looks as if he could have that.
I'm just googling ESP vision to see what it means here. I'm just
speaking of
six cents.
It's got a picture of Paul Scholes, so you're right. see the thing about Rodgick. He's one of these players, and sometimes, and you'll know what I'm talking about, and I'm probably not very good at putting it once, but sometimes when a new guy comes and as soon as they come on the pitch, they look like they belong there. He doesn't look out of place at all. He just looks like he belongs in that team right away, and I think that's when you get excited about a player. And noted down cry the Sheriff, he was one guy who right away you sort of thought, nah, I didn't. There's something about this guy. There's just some guys that they just look like they fit and they belong straight away, but other guys maybe have to work at it and stuff like that. And Rodgick definitely has that for me anyway.
You've got to have confidence in your own ability. So you go into any park and play with any squaddy players. If you feel you belong there, that's half the battle. Aye. Oh, I agree with you. I agree.
That's a first.
Can't be doing that too often.
And speaking of genius, Gary Hooper's goal. On,
I thought you guys said just Skyped in. Just being joined by.
I thought Joe Ledley's ball and Gary Hooper's control and finishing for that goal was just different class. And I think it's those kind of goals that's going to get Gary Hooper tempted away from Celtic in the summer. I think definitely.
He's definitely away.
So I
think he's off.
Look at that team yesterday. The whole sort of vibe of the match kind of seemed like taking care of business as well. But I mean, who do you think in that team will be off in the summer? I mean, who do you honestly think, they'll be willing to sell?
Wanyama, Hooper.
Aye, that'd be it.
That'd be it.
Ambrose, maybe. Is he only on a contract for the end of the season or something?
Aye, I've seen that myself, Harper, actually. That sort of slipped out that he's only contracted to the end of the season, but they were hoping he would stay on that, which...
it would be an extension or something, so I think I'm not sure. I'm just not sure about this Ambrose. Sometimes he's brilliant, and other times, see if I was an opposing manager, right? And here, any other opposing manager can have this, right? Again, I'm giving away everything here tonight. All you have to do is say to your players, see your man Ambrose, don't ever jump when you think he's got to kick the ball, because he's got to try and take it around you. And every time he's always trying to dribble round the opposition players at the back. So if you're an opposition player, you just got to take the chance and no jump in on him and just keep on him, because one of these times, at least a couple of times in a game, you'll be able to take the ball off Ambrose's toes because you know he's got to try and dribble around you. So that way, when he tries to do the sort of wee dummy, he's got to kick it, the boy jumps and then he dances around him. That's easy sus. Like he's not going to get away with that for much longer. Like, and obviously we've seen him get caught with it a few times already.
It was like your man Mark Walters in his first season up here. You know, it was that the double step over. He was away, and it was like you couldn't get the ball off. But then when folks sussed it, you know, he done the same thing all the time. And and it's like I don't know.
Especially when you're playing the same teams all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a familiarity, you know, and and if their manager's doing their homework, which you'd expect, not just a guy sitting in the banks of the Boyne with a hazy, drunk look at the game, they can suss it out. You would expect the Premier League managers, with the exception of Bomber, they suss that kind of stuff out.
The first, I thought it was great that somebody was saying that he said, seemingly there's been managers who are out of work criticising his appointment at Dundee, and he says that they're all just bitter. Imagine Rob Brown calling anybody else bitter. That's classic.
How does that happen though? How does a lunatic like him get employed as
He's
a manager?
got a big history with Dundee.
But the Dundee fans aren't happy, I don't think.
But he has got a big history with Dundee.
You've got to feel sorry for Barry Smith. I mean, let's face it. If they hadn't get promoted, he would be probably sitting top of the first division in a job at the minute.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if they hadn't get put up 2 days or something to prepare for the Premier League with no money.
I know. What is actually the point of getting rid of Barry Smith, though? I mean, is it just to say it's because they probably knew they were going to be in this situation? So it's not really Barry Smith's fault. So what was the actual point of getting rid of him? Because he was on a hiding to nothing.
It's a good question, Halfer, and I'll tell you what a lot of people are saying as the answer is because they think it's because Dundee think Hearts will be in administration before the end of the season and they'll have a chance of staying up.
I'm starting to think that Sefco are going to go out of the game. Bauer Brown's got the deeds of Dundee. They just shift the third division team to Dundee, and that's how the Huns will carry on.
So what I think, I had to sack Barry Smith because the players couldn't hear him on the pitch. So they got in Bomber Brown because everybody can fucking hear him. I mean, anything happens to the pitch, you'll hear Bomber Brown saying this. Get up, you son of a
bitch! I wonder how uncomfortable he felt in the director's box at Celtic Park on Sunday.
Has he done any interviews? I've not heard them.
He done a few today, basically saying, you know, everything's Peter Lawwell's fault. No, it's just the guy. He's just, you know, he was talking in that eloquent manner that we're accustomed to when it comes to John Brown. You know, he was just like basically talking about how many managers, like Harper said, were all bitter and twisted, and he's talking up his fantastic youth record that Rangers Old Co and the three games he was in charge of Clyde. You know, so it's a bizarre one.
Was he telling them that he played for that stadium? Played for that stadium. Oh man, it's brilliant. It's comedy gold. But there's hope for everybody. So if anybody out there is any financial hardships and things like that this time of austerity and you're maybe not working, if Bomber can get a number, there's hope there for everybody. I don't mean to be flipping the folk on the working and stuff like that. That wasn't the way it was intended.
We know, man.
We know.
So I think we managed to do well. We got half an hour out of that Dundee game, I think. So that was a wee point just to bring you back. Then, Jason, you had your mates over for the Basque Country on Saturday, and you took them. I think you went to the Partick Thistle game, but before that, you took them to Celtic Park for the tour.
Right.
They loved it.
We didn't go to the Partick Thistle game at all.
Just no.
Allegate.
Right. And you weren't very impressed with the tour. And Paul, you said you've done it a couple of times in the last 5 weeks. You weren't very impressed. So what's the deal there, boys?
On you go first, Paul.
Well, I did it. My eldest son had never done it, and then I took Graham to go on the waves on it, and it was the same woman that had done it twice. It was an older lady, blonde hair, and I would say about 50 to 60% of stuff she talked was absolute shite, basically. There was so much misinformation in there.
She offered a job on HomeBhoys.
Aye. Second name is McKenna. She, like, for example, I'll give a couple of examples. She said that Charlie Tully had done the corner kick, then got retaken it in a cup final against Rangers, when in fact we all know it was at Brockville. She made this ludicrous assertion that we're going to get 10,000 seats at Celtic Park by the start of the Commonwealth Games, which of course, is just over a year away, and 10,000 extra seats. She also God knows, but she also completely misrepresented Danny McGrain's career, and then she then told us, like, and this was on the day of the Dundee United game, that Anthony Stokes would never play for Celtic again. So I'm not quite sure he managed to score 2 goals that day. But the whole
stuff like that for.
Because she knew everything, She was as if she lived in Martin O'Neill and Gordon Strachan and Neil Lennon's office for the last 10 years.
Was this actually part of the tour, or was this her just telling you?
Just generalising, basically. Also, like, to take Jason's point when he's talking about the boardroom, it's like, if you're making the movie Jaws, you didn't show the shark right away. Whereas when you do the tour at Celtic, the first thing you do is the best thing in it, which is the boardroom and the trophy room. And it just kind of all goes downhill for there, and it just feels a wee bit shabby and too bob. And finally, the video, which I'm sure Jason and his boys saw, of the history of Celtic, which is narrated by Neil Lennon, only goes up to when Tony Mowbray was the manager.
That's right. So I don't see what it finished. I'm like,
So I could be improved, I would say.
The good thing is you get the footage of the 4-2 game. So you get the goals for that. So
at least you get pitch side in the dugout and that now, right? See, when I done it, the first year we came after the Hampden season, when Celtic Park was redeveloped and that, and me and my girlfriend at the time and my mate who had the season ticket beside me and his girlfriend, we went for we were at the game, we went back to Alloa, and then we came back up to Celtic Park that night to go for a meal, go for the tour and all that. And the tunnel and the pitch and the dressing rooms and all that weren't part of the tour then. You just got inside the stand and got to see the boardroom and that was it. Do you know what I mean? You never got any of that other stuff. You never got to walk down the tunnel or sit in the dugout. Right? The class thing was that season. The only thing they had in the boardroom that you could get a picture that you could touch was we won the 10 at sixes. I don't know what anything for that long, but the 10 at sixes, I've got a photo of me with the trophy 10 at sixes. But we were serving a meal, right? And the guy who done the tour was also the guy who was just a waiter, because they didn't actually have to do anything on the tour apart from shuffle you about. There was no telling you this, that, and the other, right? I had to bribe the guy 20 quid. Me and my mate gave him a tenner each to sneak us down to the dressing room and down the tunnel to the pitch side and get pictures of the dugout and all that. I had to bribe somebody to get that. So if you think the tour's bad now, you can imagine how bad it was back then.
I took my wife on it about 3 years ago, and she still mocks me to this day. Because she says the only thing they didn't show us was fucking radiators, you know what I mean, and tell us where they came from, you know what I mean?
It's just a bit, as the parrot would say, cash and carry. It's don't get me wrong, you get out at pitch side. My mates loved it, but there is only so much they can show you. You get in the front door, open 2 doors, you're in the boardroom, trophy room, so you see it all. You see the European Cup. Then you're out in a corridor with a couple of glass cabinets. And they keep telling you about the Champions League and how they done this. We're not interested in the Champions League, we're interested in Celtic. And then you walk through a door and you're at the tunnel. You walk about the tunnel, you mince about in the...
You mince about?
Mince about in the dugout.
Yeah, mince
like that, But no, it was great for my mates to see.
Did they still let you in the director's box?
Aye. And then you got there. You got the director. Then you come through the door there. Then you come into the dressing rooms. Then Paul.
Here's Rod Stewart's seat. Here's Ollie Connolly's
seat. They show you the hearts autographed in the dressing room and stuff like that.
By the way, I didn't like the dressing room. It felt like I wouldn't like to sit in there very long.
I'm
going to be sitting in there and make it changed.
Oh, jeez. But I tell you, Harper, you're talking about Rod Stewart. The add-on to that now is that Rod Stewart put a seat next to him for his son.
No, I didn't see that, but...
Alistair, now, as far as I'm aware, Rod Stewart got that seat for opening an all-stand, then Billy Connolly for the Lisbon Lions.
And they were giving him for life.
Aye, exactly. So what Rod's done, apparently, is put one next to his seat. And that's how, like, for example, when he was greeting against Barcelona, you see him with his big mate, because he's got the 2 seats there now. And that's that. But nah, I just think, as Jason's touched on there, like, we're a club with a history, Celtic, man. Christ, they didn't even scratch the surface on the tour, you know? And then all the stuff that they missed, they just condensed in that wee video, which, as we said, is like 4 years old.
To be fair, I done a tour of the San Siro when I was just on holiday in Milan for New Year, and it was worse. You got taken out into actually just like one of the stands and shown about and telling you stories about Milan and this, that and the other. Then they took you down to the dressing rooms, and then they took you to the tunnel, but you weren't allowed to go to the tunnel. You were just allowed to sort of like keek your head round as far as you could to look at the pitch, but you weren't allowed to actually go down to the track side or anything. Like, you were only actually allowed in the tunnel. I've not done it, so it was a bit crap. Like, but the interesting thing about Milan, the San Siro, is Inter Milan and AC Milan actually have, there's two separate home dressing rooms.
Right.
There's an AC Milan home dressing room and there's an Inter Milan home dressing room. And then there's obviously an away dressing room because they've both got, and they're completely designed completely differently for each club. It's quite madly. But that was it. I got my picture taken in Rino Gattuso's seat with my Celtic topple.
I was in that stand when we played them, and I'm sure I ended up inside it, and I went down the stairs and I asked to go to the toilet, and they let me in this thing, and I was I was in some director's bit, I don't know, in their toilet. It was all that
yeah, man, it was that all St Johnson, no?
Wooden panelling and all that.
No, St Johnson, you done that when you're climbing through the boiler room and that. The paradise, was it?
That was McDermott Park, but we won't go there. I need a couple of cans in there before I tell that one again. But I'm off to drink for Lent, you see, apart from Basque Day and Saturday, special dispensation. But what was random about Saturday, we left the game, by the time we got to the tour, it was about 2:45, so they were wanting to go to the Partick Thistle game, but we were like that, look boys, it'll be crap, we weren't sort of spoke them out it. End up going down the gala again in bar 67. So we're sitting there and these two women came on and sat next to us, and my mates were up still at the stadium, so my other pal was going to bring them down. So we went down ahead, got a few pints, and then they comes down, and they all walked in, and the Chapella's on, like the Basque Berries, and the Athletic taps on and that. And the lassie sitting there, her eyes were popping out her head. She was for the Basque country. She actually came from Getxo, the same town as my mate's family's from, and she spoke fluent Euskara, and she was speaking away to them in Basque for ages. She couldn't believe it, the four of them had just walked in, but pretty random, but no, it was excellent. They did a great time, we gave them a great day and stuff like that, but it was just an absolute downer, they couldn't get to the game. Mm-hmm. Aye, no, it was a sickener, but what do you do? TV rules football nowadays, and the normal punter is just cast aside.
Yep.
And that's the way it is. So what I've been hearing rumours about next year's season tickets that potentially Celtic are looking at reducing the cost of them. You heard anything like that, Paul?
I have. There was a meeting last week at Celtic Park. I wasn't there or anything, but I know people that were. And the consensus seems to be that next season will be the last season that anybody ever really buys a season ticket in mass, because everybody knows that you didn't need a season ticket. You got a ticket for any game you want, blah, 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 and all the rest of it. And Celtic are panicking because the whole business model of the club's built on X amount of money coming into the club at the start of the season. You know, that's why you have a chief executive like Lawwell and people like that. So they are really looking at, you know, I don't know if any of you have had it through email or through the post. There's been a survey going around the last month.
Aye, I done it, I sent it in.
You know, just asking why you wouldn't want to go to a game or this or that next thing. And I think what you'll probably see is a number of different things happening next season regarding season tickets. Much more options to buy them. There'll certainly be a reduced somewhere because, you know, they made a complete and utter faux pas with the whole kids season ticket thing at the start of the season. You know, kids that paid 50 quid were told they had to pay extra for the 2 Dundee games. Kids that paid 132 quid were given a £30 voucher for the Celtic shop, which Gary McGeady informed me on Friday that he got his, when he got back to holiday, looked at it and the date had went by 1 day because you only got 2 weeks to spend it. So there's going to be something to give because everybody can see that we're just not getting the crowds that we used to at Celtic Park, and there could be a number of reasons for that. But the reality is, you know, as I said last week, there was a survey of 43% of the children in that area are living in extreme poverty. If that's not a wake-up talk with Celtic, nothing will be.
Yeah, and it's the blog that you wrote last week, Paul. Don't know if you want to elaborate on that, because it was really good and it sort of hit home.
Aye. That was basically on the back of something which I'd read, which said that Celtic was the most expensive matchday experience in Scotland. And by I mean matchday experience, I mean your travel, your basic ticket, your food, and the programme. And it was £68 was the average what people were paying. On the back of a survey that came out that said that Glasgow, and the East End of Glasgow, is now about 43% of children who are living in extreme poverty. That is the definition of extreme poverty, which is by the Roundtree family, who the same people that make the sweets, and they are the ones who define poverty in this country now, is that they do not know if they're going to be fed that day. That's what the definition of extreme poverty is. So what I put a blog about was the fact that, the last time this poverty got extreme was in 1884, and a guy called Brother Walford said, I'm going to start this thing called penny dinners, which, will try and address that and give a glimmer of hope to the people that are suffering this, and a wee bit of life to the kids that are starving. And of course we all know how that ended up, and that's why we're all sitting here today. And I think Celtic now, with the amount of money that's coming to the club through the Champions League and various other things and key sale and all that, really have to be looking at what are we going to do to address this, because their current remit is to raise £1 million a year for charity and then just spread it about the charities they support. I think a club like Celtic should be looking far beyond that, and also should be looking to bring the projects in-house so that we are the standard bearer in the East End of Glasgow, and we'll be the ones that say, listen, we're going to fight back against this poverty because this is where we're from, these are the people who support us, and we have to be the ones that will lead them out of this.
Aye, no, well said, mate. And it hits home for some of us that are lucky enough to buy season tickets, and we can take our kids and things like that. There is thousands out there that would love to be in the position to go and watch Celtic, I'm sure. Yeah. And I don't buy into this, that it's the product in the park and things like that. No. I just think people are generally skint.
Yep.
And I just think that people generally haven't given... I mean, a good friend of mine who sat beside me with season ticket for years didn't renew this year because his job, they cut his wages by 25% this year.
Well, I think this is another thing, Jason. I think that's exactly right. Where people now, when they're getting to the summer... Ken, what is it, you got to make a commitment to a season ticket. How many people can honestly say that they're definitely going to be employed in a year's time? I know. The current climate. And then, it's something that I've thought about. It's something, to just give a tiny bit of self-indulgence. My new book kind of touches on this with the poverty angle and all that kind of thing and what it's like. And it's something that between now and the book launch I'm going to be trying to focus on, because what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to be auctioning a book starting on Friday on eBay for 10 days, and then doing a raffle for a tote that Simon Donnelly gave me, and it's all framed and all that. And the purpose of that is going to be to try and get a couple of season tickets that I can spread around through the HomeBhoys and through Hail Media next season, through all of this, to give to people who cannot afford to go and watch Celtic, and that would maybe, and not the same person every week, different people every week, so that they could hopefully, get a wee taste of Celtic that, that they probably, as you say, because they just can't afford to do it now. Yeah. And so, if I can, well, I'm saying that, it's obviously I'm looking for people to try and, buy the book at an auction, buy raffle tickets and all that kind of thing. The Celtic supporters, you've seen yourself with the Kano Foundation and people like that. We're looking at it as saying, Christ, this is a real problem. And I think now it's time for the club also to look at it. So if people want to bid in that auction, it'll start on Friday. It'll be a signed book. You'll get a month before it comes out. And then, of course, there'll be the raffle, which is a framed tote by Simon Donnelly, which was actually worn by Paolo Di Canio. And I didn't want to broadcast that because I knew Jason was calling me a fascist. But, I think we can all do our wee bits and all that. We've all, none of us have lived idyllic lives and all that kind of thing. And I think it's something a Celtic Football Club, especially with the amount of money that's coming in for the Champions League and all the benefits of that, can really look at doing and addressing that area, because I think it's sickening that it took the Commonwealth Games to come to that area before they actually started to tar it up at all.
I know, absolutely. And I suppose we mentioned that next week we'll have a guest panellist on, and it'll be one of the lads for the Kano Foundation. So they'll come on next week, and MD can call up and ask the boys any questions they want. They'll give us a wee rundown of what the Kano Foundation do. But that's one of the great aspects of being a Celtic supporter, and the work that these guys put in, and the amount of kids that they get through the turnstiles that maybe couldn't afford to get to the games, and they bring these kids into Celtic Park and give them the match day experience. And it's through fans, like just normal fans, put donations towards it and stuff like that, like the Kano Foundation that are able to bring sort of kids that maybe can't afford to come to the games. And that is what Celtic's all about, you know. And I mean, at the end of the day, my season ticket, if I don't use it, I give it to my friends or whatever. I don't necessarily hunt out somebody that can't afford it, you know, so I just give it to people I know that's not got a ticket. But I think the thing that you're trying to achieve, Paul, that's what it should all be about, is people that can't afford it, you know.
I mean, the thing is, I seen some clown on Twitter about 3 months ago saying what's so different about the Celtic support to any other support, and I'll tell you, it's things like the Kano Foundation, the Good Child Foundation, We Oscar, all these kind of things that go on. That's the difference. And I think it's hard, like, because Kano Foundation is centred on kids, which is brilliant near the future and all that kind of thing. It's hard. Like, we've all been in that situation where we've not got any money. It's hard to say ask your mates for a dig out, you know. It's hard to go and say to people, I'm actually toiling here, you know what I mean? So what I'm trying to focus on with this kind of thing is the kind of people who didn't really have the, you know, they're kind of like putting pride before a fall, basically. They say, look, we know you're struggling with it. Like, here's the opportunity. You can be completely anonymous, but the tickets are there. And if you need to use them, whatever, you know, go and use them and go and remove them, because just because you're skint doesn't make you any less of a Tim, because you can't afford to go to the games, and hopefully, you know, try and raise money to get 1 or 2 season tickets and just, you know, do something with that. And because I think it's something, I mean, in this show and other shows like this, it's close to all our hearts that with all the laughing and joking we always have and banter and slagging each other is fine, but we all know why we're here and we all know what Celtic's about, and I think that's what's happening with the Celtic support. And for me personally, I'd just like to see Celtic do just a wee bit more in regards to that.
Well, there was talk of something, not something similar to that, Paul, you mentioned, but talk of subsidies for Irish fans going over. Remember that, Harper, back in the old Dog and Pony show back in the City West?
Yeah.
I mean, Peter Law said there would be talks about, you know, subsidies to help fans that can't afford things. Now, I mean, the question was directed at it was basically directed at people who are running buses or whatever, and fans who couldn't make it over. But it applies all around the board. The club should be trying to help, you know, the fans who can't afford and want to come. You know what I mean? And I think that's a great idea. I mean, there should be more of that going on. You know.
I mean, Joe, you know, Jason. Joe, you know yourself. Like, I mean, the cost they live in Ireland's going up and up and up all the time.
It's ridiculous. And
at the same time, when the country's going through an economic meltdown, now there has to be some kind of person at Celtic saying we can make it easier, because there's an untapped resource of Celtic supporters there who I don't think Irish fans have been treated well at all by Celtic recently, you know, in the last few years. But your Jim Mervins and your Jim Greenings and all that mob, they're all still there. Mm-hmm. And it's time the club was saying, listen, if we were to subsidise your buses, how many people would you get on them?
Yeah,
and it would cost Celtic nothing, you know what I mean? They could get a sponsorship deal with buses or whoever, you know?
But I mean, the one thing Celtic miss, you mentioned Jim Mervin there. People like Jim Mervin, I went in his bus many times when I was younger. I mean, people like him attract more fans to the club.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? By running a good bus, by having a good service, you know what I mean? By things going really well, get you there, good people, good atmosphere. I mean, I know plenty of lads that wouldn't necessarily be Celtic fans that would have gone on that bus and would have kept going on that bus, you know? Not necessarily regularly, but I mean, if they had to go over again, they would have gone on that bus, you know? And I think it's Celtic maybe don't see those guys as being what they really are, which is kind of like, you know, local ambassadors for Celtic wherever they live, you know?
And it's like guys like the Ballymena Shamrock. I think that's the one Gary McGeady goes on, big Hapster, and I think South Derry, Mickey. I'm sure Hapster runs that one. I think Mickey helps out, and then my good mate Aids O'Digney, he helps run the Erin Go Bra bus for Belfast. I mean, these guys, I know the boys that will run the Lurgan Celtic Club and things like that. These guys, they do everything they can to help kids go over for next to nothing. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Because with their boat and that. But as you say, see for like these clubs, could Celtic, I mean, this is pie in the sky, because I've always said to myself, I would win the lot. See if you won that Euro Millions or whatever, and you'd pop fizzy money, or any lottery. As long as you won a few quid, I would love to see Celtic supporters clubs that have been on the road for years. I would love to buy them a bus and just say to them, that's your bus. You can run it during the week for earners or whatever for your club and things like that. But the one thing I would insist on, that all kids got on the bus free. You know, you never charge children to go to a Celtic game. They got on the bus and then get a discounted ticket as well. So see if you can get kids from Belfast and that coming over to watch Celtic, that it cost them a £5 or a £10. Do you know what I mean? And it's like things like that. We need to do stuff like this. We need to get the youth coming to Celtic games, and for as cheap as we possibly can do it. I mean, look at the amount of seats that are empty there. And do you know one season ticket at Celtic Park, like a guy like myself or whatever? Obviously, we spoke about the knockers earlier on, but I don't think there'd be many would complain if Celtic says, right, everything get into the game free, or if you can bring your unemployment card or something like that, you can get in the game free.
Well, Jason, there's Drogheda this season, right? They've started a new thing. If you're a season ticket holder, you can bring in somebody under the age of 14 for free.
Mm-hmm. Aye.
Just to get young kids in the stadium. The stadium's 25% full, 75% empty.
Aye.
Bring your kids for nothing. You know what I mean? They'll come in and they'll buy a pie, they'll buy a burger. You'll still get a couple of quid out of them. It's better than a seat lying empty.
Why can we not have pay-in gates either? See, remember the thing that was the police made it a rule that you had to have all tickets so they could monitor it, but surely it's come to the stage now that you have pay-in gates at the football.
The thing about the pay-in gate, though, the pay-in gate have to be the same price as what it cost somebody for that game for their season ticket, if you know what I mean.
Well, but this is, I'm actually saying it wouldn't bother me.
But it would bother other people, you know what, there are people who complain.
Aye, I know, but it would obviously affect the following season tickets. But as it stands at present, I mean, say we've won the league against Aberdeen, you just know the games after then, you're going to get the big game hunters there. They're going to be staying in the pub all day. They're not going to be going. You know, I'll go regardless, and Paul will go regardless. But you know the certain folk that won't bother.
Aye, I mean, it's like, I know what you're saying, the Harper, people, they would complain and that. I mean, the thing is, like, we've got to be bigger and open-minded about this. It's as simple as this. As long as Celtic are scoring more goals than opposition, I can never toss what Jason's paying to get in or what Harper's paying to get in.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I'm happy, I'm paying to get in and I can see my team, that's it.
I know, I mean, we've all been there. You see the couple of wee boys, you just know they've jumped the turnstile. And you're like, good luck to them. You know, if they're in there to watch Celtic, if they'll get any money in their pocket, but they've been ingenious in getting into the stadium, good luck to them. I'm not going to go and stick them in. And it doesn't bother me that I've paid money again and they've no. I mean, obviously,
probably the Green Brigade that helped them sneak in.
Aye. I mean, the thing is, can I just say as well, I'm not advocating for people to that. But at the end of the day, I've paid my money and that's it. I'm not bothering what anybody else has paid. So if Celtic want to have a walk-up gate that's a £5, you get in, you pay a £5 at the thing, mate. Go for it.
Well, there's the man Scouse Tim's on Twitter just addressing you there, Jason, says that Everton season ticket holders can get 2 kids £5 and or 2 adults £20 for any league game.
Aye, but the thing was, Everton came out in the I think it was Elstone or whatever, came out and made a statement that they were really proud that Everton had the highest amount of student season tickets and kids season tickets. But that's adults getting in with me. That's for the Scousers at a con there to try and get in. No, but to be fair, Everton's one of the. It's still overpriced, but for English Premiership football, it's certainly. Definitely one of the cheapest. I think Wigan's probably the cheapest, but for Everton, if I go down to any Everton game, if you go to an Everton-Liverpool game, like that's your category A, or Everton-Man United, you can get a ticket for £37. That's not a season ticket. I know that's a lot of money, but for English Premiership, it's, I don't know. I know a big mate of mine that works, big boy that works with me, he was over at Madrid at the weekend and he took his nephew to the Real Madrid-Real Vallecano game and he paid €70. Say there's a good seat. But that's €140. So, and it's Real Vallecano. Well, it's a Madrid derby, but I mean, it's not exactly a blockbuster. But Everton, in relative terms, I suppose, is definitely one of the most reasonable, but they're still overpriced. I mean, all football in the UK is overpriced as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Joe, just when we're talking on the charity stuff.
Yeah, so I'm just reading what you're about to mention there now.
Because it's getting on. So that's 20 past 9, we've only got 10 minutes left.
Wrap up with this then, will we? This is the announcement about the Wee Oscar for Life cycle to Belfast, right? Anybody doesn't know the story behind Wee Oscar? Wee Oscar is a 3-year-old boy from Mollusk who suffers from a very rare type of cancer called neuroblastoma. And it mainly affects children, like 100 children a year in the UK. And it's basically to raise money for his treatment and... he's a kid that's kind of full of life, you know. He's always smiling, and the Celtic fans have kind of taken him to their heart because It's such a great little story. The likes of Chris Commons is, I don't know, it's his wife or his partner. Is his wife? Lisa Haig. They've been collecting money. They collect money around Celtic Park. Gary Hooper's partner and stuff. Loads of the Celtic players and fans and family and whatever have been getting involved in this. But this is a new promotion. You call promotion initiative. It's called We Oscar Cycle for Life. And what's going to happen is, I'm just going to read out the press release here. The We Oscar for Life team's next event is a cycle to Belfast from different locations around the UK and Ireland on St Patrick's weekend, March 2013. It started off as a planned cycle from Celtic Park, Glasgow to Belfast, but after some consideration, the team decided to hit social network sites and Celtic websites to see if there'd be any interest in other Celtic supporters organising cycles to Belfast from other locations in the UK and Ireland. It soon became apparent there was decent interest in this from supporters in Leeds, Dundee, Roscommon and Dublin. We have to date the following numbers joining our 5 confirmed cycles. 32 cyclists and 7 support team will leave Celtic Park early on the 15th of March, arriving at Donegal Celtic Park, which is on the Suffolk Road, around 6:30 p.m. on Saturday the 16th of March. 26 cyclists will leave Dublin on the 15th of March, arriving at Donegal Celtic Park at 6:30 on Saturday the 16th of March. 7 cyclists will leave Leeds on Friday the 15th of March, arriving in Belfast on St Patrick's Day. 26 cyclists and 6 support team will leave in Dundee on Friday the 15th of March and arriving in Belfast at 5 p.m. the following day.
I know somebody who's doing it for Dundee. One of my mates is doing it for Dundee. Dundee's only a mile for Drogheda.
So it's taking them a day to get from Dundee to Belfast? Is that right?
On a push bike. It shouldn't take a full day.
There's something not right there. There's that one off for pints, I think.
Well, Mark, the guy I know, he'd definitely be slotting off for pints, I think.
10 cyclists are leaving Roscommon on the 15th of March and arriving in Belfast the 16th. Okay, so next information. Once we arrive in Belfast, an event will be held at Donegal Celtic Park for cyclists to replenish their calories, raise a bit of money, and they're going to raffle off Celtic-related items. So that's the 16th of March. I'm pretty sure that's when it is for that due. Given the number of cyclists, they're hoping to raise at least 10 grand for wee Oscar, go towards his immunotherapy treatment that he requires, and he has stage 4 neuroblastoma. So if you see the guys on the bikes, if you want to go up to Suffolk Road at Donegal Celtic Park, and where I spent many nights as a young man, getting up to no good.
Tied up waiting on a tram to
getting up to no good, just staring at girls, wishing one of them would come near me.
That's just on the way up to the Roddies, isn't it?
It's actually just past the Roddies, so it is.
Aye.
It's further on up that road, so it is. Okay, so We Oscar for Life are also offering corporate sponsorship to companies who would like to join. There's a whole load of different people like Morrison Services, Firewater, Burns Interior Design, loads of people who are Stena, got their name on there, Oracle, Project Pipework and Piling. I don't know what piling is. But for 500 quid, you can have your name put on publicity banners for We Oscar. It's big business. Not big business. It's big business for charity. And there'll be TV, there'll be photographs, there'll be all kinds of media. So if you want to sponsor it, get in there with your 500 quid. If you're in between Leeds, Belfast, Dublin and Belfast, the League in Belfast, the Roscommon and Belfast, throw some money in there. I'm sure there'll be buckets along the way. Throw some money in and get given. So anything else you got to announce, Harper? No?
I see the guy I know who's doing it for Dundee. I think he's probably just been told, here, you want to go for Dundee to Belfast. He probably doesn't know there's any cycling involved. He probably just thinks he's away for a day out to get pissed.
Is he a cyclist?
Well, I tell you what, he got 25 quid off me, so he better do it.
Aye, my good mate Michael that was with us on Saturday at the tour with the Basque Boys, he was over in Bilbao. He's doing it for Celtic Park, Michael McLaughlin, so I've sponsored Michael. So, no, fair play to the boys that are doing it, and for a great cause.
I want to make sure, I want to see a picture of him on a bike, because he's got a scooter. He's a mod, right? He's in a scooter gang, he's a mod, eh? So if he thinks he's going up there in a scooter, alright, he'll still get the 25 quid, but he'll be getting an earful. He'll be getting an earful for it.
It's not Mick the Mod, no?
No, it's a guy, Mark Donnelly.
I was going to say, I don't think Mick the Mod could cycle. It's not far, can he?
No.
But I think we're done then, aren't we?
Aye, that's good, aye.
So there you go, folks. HomeBhoys number 83. Thanks for listening. Thanks to Danny O'Connor for coming on and joining us.
Joe, just reiterate where you can get us and all that kind of stuff.
That's all right. I have that actually here. Yeah, so if you're new to the show, new to the network, you can find us. Just go to hailhailmedia.com, www.hailhailmedia.com, and all the information you kind of need is there. But you can also follow us on Twitter at HomeBhoys. on Twitter. There's also at Hail Hail Media, and there are numerous other shows on the network, such as, and I got a list of them here, 90 Minute Cynic, Beyond the Waves, HomeBhoys, Lost Boys, Mets Boys, Paradise Preview, TikTok, Paradise Report, The Green Room, Rebel Podcast.
Green Room are gone. The Green Room are no more.
Okay.
Temporary stand,
and I think that's about it, really. So if you're new to it, check us out on Twitter, on the website. Go to iTunes, search Hail Hail Media, on subscribe. All the podcasts will be downloaded to your phone, to your iTunes, and you can listen to our sultry tones and misinformed gibberish every week at your leisure. So that's the end of that. We'll say goodbye from Reverend Harper.
Goodbye.
The one and only Green White writer, Paul Largan.
Good night.
And Jason Higgins.
Tara Love.
All right, ready to go. Thanks very much.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Cheers, good luck.
Oh, Willie Mealy was his name. He brought some great names to the game. When he was the boss at Celtic Park,